Hey, welcome to Brent's Runabout. I am Brent. So today we are playing catch up because we were traveling and missed last week's video, and now I'm going to catch up for the last 2 weeks and just kind of give you a preview of or a little overview of what's been going on, and also where I stand today in getting to that 100-mile run, which, in the least, at least from a little bit before we get into it, just really been feeling out, working through my ankle, Achilles, and kind of the hip, and it just all on the left side, trying to figure out what I need to be doing, what else I should be doing. Um, and really, it's kind of boiled down to a lot in the last 2 weeks, just focusing purely on the ankle mobilization, the PT exercises out of Mike Swinger's Runner's Fix book, and doing the things for the ankle, Achilles, and then also the hip as well, working in some strength training. And then also there were some hikes and walks, just kind of round things out. So I'm doing a bit of cardio. In addition to that, going forward, I'm going to start working in just trying runs. I think what I liked a couple of months ago was just kind of having the day-to-day feel out, like what do I feel like doing, what do I want to go do, whether it be a bike, a run, longboard, whatever, and then just kind of go from there. And so the coming week, which you'll see once I bring up the training plan, is going to be just that. It's a bit more, it's planned out of, all right, throw some runs in there, at least an initial one today, which after this I'll go out and go do. I'll also switch up what shoes I'm wearing just to see, if I go back to a trail shoe that I had been wearing, my La Sportiva Helios, do I notice a difference? I know I did do this months ago, and it seemed like it kind of took away some of the issues with the Achilles. They're a 4 millimeter drop. They are quite flexible. They are nowhere near as minimal, though they have a bit more of a cushion or typical sole on a shoe. They're trail shoe, but I'm actually going to go out and wear them just on the road as I point out the window that's over here. Just, just to, I've even been thinking through like what else could be aggravating my Achilles, and this is kind of what's spurred me to just trying something completely different. I've been walking a lot in my Hanas, and they are just like bare bones. I think it's a 5 mil sole with a very minimal insert. And I've kind of noticed, like, even walking, where I'm hitting is kind of where that pain in my Achilles or right under my heel on my left foot is kind of coming from. So I don't know, while it might have been a run early last year that aggravated, or May of last year that aggravated it, it could just be that continual walking motion and not switching up the shoes as much, even for my walks, as I would. And now that it's colder out, I'm always going to the same shoe. So now I'm going to see, even on walks, start mixing that up. Like, okay, I've got a number of other shoes I would go wear for a walk. Let's throw those on, see what happens. Does it mitigate that? I've even gone so far, if you've been following me on the social medias, I think specifically on Instagram and Facebook, I'd even put it out there. Or no, you know what? It was on the newsletter. Another good reason to sign up for the newsletter. Include a link to that below. And then I put it out to my subscribers. Hey, what shoes do you like? What, give me some things to try, whatever. I mean, I've even been considering going full maximal, but I say that in almost as if a response came. I saw a Xero Shoes post, and they had said, and they'd even posted not only like, hey, here are the benefits again. It kind of reminded me things I already knew about the benefits of going minimal barefoot, things like that, within reason, within your comfort zone, of course. But they'd even linked to some newer research about maximal shoes, and really the fact that you're still going to potentially end up injured anyway. So I'm like, okay, maybe not the direction to go. But all that said, I like trying new things. And I think things like that kind of pique my interest. Like, okay, why is there such a big thing? I get it that, like, okay, maybe having a lot more underfoot for the longer ultra runs, especially on road, could offset. But then it's like, well, yeah, if your foot's still trying to find the road to make sure you're feeling, because you have so many receptors, I'm going to screw up the terminology there. Pardon and apologies for that. but your foot's going to want to try and feel the road to then ensure that it's being, it's then responding to the road in the right way and not striking too hard. And, if you have all that cushion beneath your foot, it's going to be, your foot and leg are really going to be trying to find that, feedback in order to tell you, right, like, oh, hey, go easier, or hey, there's, something on the road that you need to be aware of, or on the trail, just so you don't injure yourself, roll an ankle, et cetera, et cetera. So anywho, yeah, we'll see where it goes. We'll see, what if I purchase a new shoe, what happens there, and go from there. Anywho, bit of a side note, but also relevant and pertinent to today's discussion. So let's get into the training plan. Go ahead and share my screen out. And we'll throw me right there. How about? All right. So if you watched the last video, we're jumping all the way back to week 7 here. What you'll kind of notice, it's been a lot of just PT, physical therapy, RT, resistance training, and just kind of also working in before we had left on our travels. Did some biking, went out and did that. I must have been horribly complete all. You know what? I think I went out and did that bike, but clearly failed to update my own training plan. Whoops. Shame on me. I'm just going to a little quick note, bike completed, and then refer. Oh, just a little reminder to myself that if I'm looking for that, what I actually did that day. And then what I actually started doing after that, if we continue going on, was I started working in both, because some of the physical therapy stuff kind of crosses over into resistance training a little bit, only because it's, not only ankle mobilization stuff with the, the different things of, having a bent knee and kind of going back and forth, and then to the right, left, center kind of thing. But also going through some calf stretches, you get in the calf raises, and then doing 2 different types of calf raises, and then also side planks, which planks is also a resistance training exercise, and then balancing on one foot. And then if you've never done compass floor touches, this is a good one. You're balancing on one foot, and then with the other foot that's up in the air, you're reaching out ahead, to the right, behind, and then you cross behind the leg that you're bouncing on, and then you do that, go around in a direction 10 times, and then do it each leg. It's definitely a good one. You really start feeling it, not just in your foot, but also up through the calf, up through your hip, and really just kind of it's a good all leg workout right there. So I've started working in some of those days where it's a mix of both. So really, yeah, a lot of the days, did I get on the 18th? Yeah, think about this. Oh, sorry. It was the 18th that we had actually left. And okay, yeah, I did note that bike there. Okay, now I'm up to speed on my own training plan here. And then we left for our travels to go check out some places to potentially live in the future, which we've likely landed on Boone, North Carolina. Yay! Excited for that. Now just to figure out where to live in said town. So anywho, still able to get the physical therapy stuff completed. Did some resistance training once we were at our self-enclosed Airbnb, and found that doing even just body weight was a bit more. And I was like, okay, instead of doing the 2 times 30 reps, 2 sets of 30 reps, I just did 1, and then of each of the deadlifts and squats. Still did the hip hikers and the reverse lunges, which that's another good one. If you do a step back lunge, so if you're standing upright, do a lunge, but instead of stepping forward, step backwards. And then at the same time, like let's say you're stepping back with your right leg, the torso rotation is really just fancy for saying with your arms out in front of you, because I've done this with a 10-pound barbell. So if you're holding 10-pound barbell, you can do that in front if you need some added weight. If not, just do it with your body weight. So step back, say with your right leg, and then you're just going to twist your whole torso to the left. So your shoulders and your face are going to be pointing the opposite direction, and then come back up to standing, and then repeat going the opposite direction. So then step back with your left leg, and then rotate going to the right with your torso. You could go all one side and then switch. I like going opposite way. So or alternating each way. So I'll do 30 total. So it ends up being 15 on each leg. Because again, 15 is about that butter zone where you're hitting strength and also endurance. Obviously, if you're doing more reps, less weight, you're going to go more endurance. If you're doing less reps, more weight, you're going to do more strength. Little side note. The next thing was skiing. It's been so long for my wife and I both being out doing some downhill skiing, but it was great to get out there. First time for our daughter. Holy workout and a half, that man. Like, it's one thing to go skiing yourself, and we've been skiing for myself. It's over 2 decades now. So I mean, it's more automatic. It really did come back like riding a bike. My wife and I. But then you throw a little one who's about 30 pounds, probably a bit more than that nowadays, between your legs, and they're on their own little skis, which were awesome and cute. It really just kind of amplifies, because what I ended up doing the whole time was a snow plow then around her, and I was just holding onto her torso right around just above her hips. Because we started on the bunny hill, but then it was just the bunny hill wasn't steep enough to really keep a really good sustained speed. And she wasn't even she's not even at the point to like stand up. She can stand up on the skis, but then to like have her try and ski down herself and then try and work against stops and stuff like that. I was just like, okay, let's just get you comfortable to being on skis and going down the hill, and let's make this fun. So it was a lot of me just holding on. And then my wife took a few turns in there, or a number of turns in there as well. And yeah, like if you've gone skiing and you've snowplowed, now think about trying to snowplow all the way down a run and then snowplow all the way down the run while holding on to someone. It's a full body workout at the end of the day. Like you're feeling your legs, your outer hip. Actually, it worked out pretty good for an outer hip workout. Lower back, upper back, my arms. I mean, because you're just you're basically just holding a weight there and stabilizing her so she's not falling over. And then there were times where her ski would just kind of get kicked out a little bit with some of the more rougher snow. We weren't going that fast. And so what I would end up doing was just picking her up just to reset her skis straight. And the whole time I would then just be talking her through, like, okay, slight bend in the legs, lean forward at the ankles. Yeah, and actually she was good about keeping that stuff. Like I could tell when she was actually doing it, or if she was just like trying to sit down and like hang on my arms. I'm just like, okay, you got to try and at least stand up a little bit here. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then our best part was we'd get to the end of this nice little green run. It was a shorter because we were on the bunny hill for like 2 times, and then you'd go on the cool little magic carpet, which was fun to ride on. But then you got all these other people who are actually trying to learn. It was just okay. And then skating, trying to skate with her, because I would have to try and think ice skating but with skis on and no poles. So I'm trying to like push the both of us. Other times I just pick her up and try and skate by myself, and that ended up being more efficient. But that was probably the biggest workout, was just skating around. So I was like, okay, she's asking to go on a lift. We had prepped her and watched some cool kid-friendly lift. I want to say it was a ski resort out west that had a really nice video put together, Vail or Breckenridge, I forget which, for kids. So if you're ever looking to take your kids to go skiing and you're a little apprehensive of the lift, like we were, definitely go do some YouTube searching and you'll find some good ones out there. If I remember it, I'll try and link it below, but no promises on that one. I know I'm getting way off the topic of running here, but it's just fun, kind of reminiscing and some of their highlights. But yeah, actually the lift wasn't as bad. To really just kind of go off on a tangent here, it ended up being, again, ski up with her, help her up to the front, and then put her to my side and talk her through, start instilling like, hey, look behind you, look for the chair. And then it was basically me just picking her up, set her on the chair, I'd sit down, and then just hold on to her the whole time, because there was the safety bar, but there's enough space there that she wants to sit with her legs bent so she could be cool with her skis hanging. So yeah, I just would hold on to her, because she's basically sitting in the mid section of the chair and can't sit all the way back. Anywho, and then getting off, I would just pick her up and then ski both of us down, and then plop her down once we were ready to go down skiing, or waiting for my wife who was in the chair behind us. Or we get, and then, going down was fun. We just do big turns. And uh, once we get to the bottom of the lift, towards the bottom of the lift, there'd be a flatter section. And a couple times, just to kind of scoot ahead of people who are, slowly skating to get around people, I would just go into kind of a half squat, still leaning forward from the ankles. And then I would just sit her with her skis facing forward on my legs, and we would just kind of scoot on by everyone. And I'm pretty sure she definitely said, yeah, like, how I want to do that. Like going down, like, yeah, just on the flat sections. I'm not doing that all the way down a hill. Like, I mean, there were a couple times where I definitely had to pick her up, do a quick hockey stop. Like one time that we ended up on a blue on accident, because we took another lift thinking we'd take it just to a longer green. It took us to the top of the mountain. So it was like, all right, choice of blue, black, or blue run. And we're like, oh, well, guess we're doing this blue run because there's the green down there that we want to get to. And it just so happened that was the one initial run my wife wanted to take a turn on. My wife took it for a few turns and a bit down, then eventually turned it back over to me, and I got our daughter back the way down until we were on the green, and then switched. So eventually my wife and I could then take turns, one of us with our daughter, one of us off taking a few runs by herself. So anywho, very good day overall for skiing. There's a couple of Insta posts and Facebook posts out there if you're interested in taking a look at some of the pictures. And yeah, it was a good time overall. We were out there for a good chunk of our lift time. We felt relatively safe. Most everyone, you had to wear a mask indoors, in the lift line, on the lifts. And then it ended up, since I had my third and I was holding her, like, you're skiing down probably half the runs anyways, mask. So, and everyone's outside. So that's what we kind of figured. And we were always away from people. And when we were going down the one run. Anywho, I digress quite a bit. So on we go. What ended up happening for the rest of the time on our travels was I'd try and do, again, the resistance training and the physical therapy stuff. And then we were always going out for hikes. Again, was trying to post on Insta or Facebook just to kind of note. If not, you'll probably see a couple lingering pictures and posts go up in the next couple of days and weeks of where we were hiking and things like that. So follow me along there if you're interested in seeing those pictures. We had thought about going for another day of skiing. It ended up being, we decided to go for a hike instead. And again, just kept with the PT stuff. Resistance training, and then also longer hikes. Again, because we were trying to get a sense of the area. So we just go find some either local greenways, which was like a nice paved path that would cut through some of the fields or wooded area in the area. I think we were still in Boone. Yeah, we were in Boone at this point. Or we go out for actual hikes. There's some nice trails nearby that we could go out on. And then travel day. So once we got to our next, well, actually it was entire house in Chattanooga that we were checking out. Did the PT stuff there. I'm trying to remember if I did. Oh, and then this was interesting. Probably, yeah, this was 2 days after we arrived. It was a rainy day. So what happened was I woke up the second day we were in Chattanooga, and my left Achilles was really sore. And it was really strange because there wasn't really anything specifically that cropped up. It wasn't like I had gone out and ran on it. We had hiked a couple days before. So the only thing I could think of was like, okay, we had a travel day here. So sitting in the car, and then this first day in Chattanooga was just complete raininess. So I'm trying to think if we even got out and walked that day, but sure enough, the next day my Achilles was sore. I'm like, what was it? Was it just the fact that like it didn't get moved, and so it wasn't, getting stretched out in a good way, getting worked in a good way, or the fact that it had some rest days and was healing, and now it's just a bit sore and cranky going out to try and walk on it. Again, I'm no physical therapist, so I can't really say one way or the other. I'm not going to try and self-diagnose myself. But anywho, we got up for a nice 5+ mile hike around Outlook Mountain, which was really cool. It was big Civil War battle as well between the North and the South. Look it up. I forget if it's called the Battle of Lookout Mountain or exactly what the name of the actual battle was, but it was cool because eventually we ran into these different signs. There was a we didn't go in it, but I don't know if it was supposed to be a fort or what at the top of the mountain. We just kind of went up for a quick look and then kind of went back down to where our trails were going for the rest of our hike. But there were signs that kind of would say like, hey, this is where this line was for the North or the South and the Union and the Confederacy and things like that. And then we traveled back to where we're at now. And again, kept up with the PT. We ended up doing, we did a hike during our travels. Cause usually if we're traveling, we have longer travel days. We like taking it slow. So our little family tip, look for nice little greenways, instead of just the normal rest stop. Cause I mean, the rest stops, sure, they got some green space, but you're also going to be stopping with other people. So what we'll do is we'll look for other places to do a local hike. Like in this case, it was Pine Mountain, which ended up being a really great option in Georgia, just north of Atlanta. What ended up being a lot of locals, there's barely anyone out on the trail. So we didn't have to run the risk of seeing anyone or it being too crowded, I should say. And then, we just enjoyed a nice walk up the mountain, came right back down, got back in the car, continued driving. I think later we did have to do a rest stop because it was one of those things where we try and time it every hour and a half, at least for the longer drive. So then our daughter, who we have a nice old school travel DVD player, can watch a movie. We can actually get some driving done, listen to a podcast. My wife and I can talk. And then that hour and a half we've at least found for our family is good, where it's not too long, where everyone is kind of itching to get up and start walking. So that second step, we weren't finding a good like hike green space. So we ended up just doing a rest stop for the restrooms. And then they actually had a nice hill where we were just going to do a little walking up and down the hill. And then it turned into me running up the hill, walking back down. My wife was carrying our daughter. So we did 5 hill repeats, just impromptu, running up the hill, walking down for myself. And again, my wife carrying 30 plus pounds on her back. So good workout all around as well. Daughter got the good, good end of that one. So that brings to just recently, I skipped the bike. It was just felt tired this day. I mean, and this is probably a good note for anybody out there. Like if you're just feeling run down, feeling tired, and it's a genuine like, wow, my energy is just not where it needs to be go be working out. Just take the day off. I mean, give yourself the excuse, as long as it just does not become habitual. I think that's it opens up the realm to be a problem if it continues to, ongoing, you continue to give yourself that out. Just be mindful of how often you're doing it. And when you're actually doing it, are you actually tired? Are you feeling run down? Are you feeling, another good indicator is like, do you take your resting heart rate more often? It's one thing I do at least every 3 to 4 weeks in between, after a rest week going into the next building cycle for myself and the training plans that I put together. But do it more often, do it once a week, just see like, where's your resting heart rate at? Is it slowly ticking up? And if it is, and it should be slowly ticking down or, kind of staying the same and then hopefully going down over time as you become more, as you get in shape, as you become more what's the term I'm looking for? Anywho, as you become more conditioned, there we go, with your training. But if you find that you're just not feeling it, just, do it maybe once a week. You could go daily if you really want. And then what I like to do is I do 3 readings and then average them out. Then it just takes out any high or low mark variance. And then you kind of get at least a better sense of, okay, yeah, I'm tracking up. I am tracking down. I'm trying to think what I did just read an article about this, and I think it was definitely covered in my training certification as well, but I'm not drawing on the actual study if it was, and the actual term, if it's cardiac drift. I'd have to look that one up again. But there is some actual studies and things around that where, your heart rate will just start tracking up. And that's usually a good sign just to start taking an extra rest day, maybe coming back down the distance. Or did you have a one-off week where you got a little overzealous and decided to start going a little harder, or maybe it was the last 2 weeks? So again, it kind of comes back to, are you sticking to the training plan? Is the training plan need to be tweaked? Or, do you just need to reassess like where you're at with the training and where going forward you need to go? go from there. If you have questions, feel free to reach out. Again, I always throw link to the site. There's a contact form there, or the email address below. You can hit me at that and ask your questions there if you don't feel like just commenting below in the comments. Anywho, so moving on, yesterday I did end up taking as a rest day, because yes, we are on the 30th. And then I actually ended up doing an 8-minute yoga, because that was, again, it's something I want to try and start just getting some more general mobility and things like that. Just this, I've been getting a bit lazy where I think like, oh, I'm in shape. And then it's like, you start thinking about like, if I'm not running as much, what am I doing? Like, and I found a nice yoga. It was what ended up being a 10-minute yoga. I had time to do about 8 minutes of it. I figured, hey, it's better than nothing. And it had some really nice ankle mobilization stuff where you're just doing different like exercises essentially with your feet and ankles and working them, holding them, working, you kind of hold, release, and continuing to do that both sides of your feet, different positions and things like that. So that was good. If you follow me on Strava, you'll see some links there to that particular workout. And then went out for a nice long walk with my daughter in the wagon. She was talking to my mother, who we're currently with. We're with my parents for the time being until we figure out our next steps and where we're going to live. And she wanted to take her balloons for a walk with the blankets. So we're in the wagon. And then that ended up being a nice little workout for myself anyways, because then I was using more my arms pulling. Yeah, so it was good 2 mile there. And then I didn't write it in, but then I went out in the evening for 2.808 mile walk in like 45 minutes in the evening. So yeah, still trying to get out as much as possible. And I think that's something else I would just want to like, am I staying active? Am I doing other things if I'm not running as much to kind of bolster what I was doing, just kind of keep the cardio, keep the fitness up. So anyways, that brings us into week 9. So I'm looking at, I'm going to just go try a run. This is something I just thought of but was reflecting on. So the last 2 weeks was good. So I could then just kind of think through like, okay, how could I approach the training going forward to then ultimately get back up to 100 miles, or get to a point of being able to run 100 miles. What do I need to be doing, or how can I think and approach this differently? And one thought was, well, just go try and run. Like, just go for 2 miles, at least today, because I feel like that's going to be the time I'm going to have to go do. I was also initially thinking 3. And then the other thought I had was get out on trail more. It was something that when we were the last place we lived in Australia, in Belgrave, was just amazing, because 2K away, which is 1.25 miles away, we had the entire Dandenong National Park at our fingertips, or toe tips at our feet. And I mean, not to brag, but like I worked out for one of my training runs, a 50K, and I didn't have to do loops. I could just go out and connect enough of the various areas of the Dandenong ranges where I could just hit what ended up being hitting the major areas of the Dandenong ranges and then looping back. I mean, of course, on the track that came back to our house, I had to overlap there. I might have crossed. I think I might have had a figure 8 or something in there. Like it was one of those things where it's like go off, loop, and then kind of come back. But I still don't think. Anyways, the point being, we could go out and just go on trail, and it was so varied and hilly that it wasn't like here. I mean, granted, Greenville's hillier than when we were back in Troy last year, but it's a big difference. I realized when we were last year living in Michigan, I hadn't really done that flat of road running in better part of 2 years, at least, when we were living in the city in Melbourne. And even then, like, you get some hills, you get some trails here and there, or we'd go out and do trails. So it's something I realized, like, oh, I am just missing that trail running and getting out to have that kind of like proper trails. So I haven't written it in, but I'm also going to try working into just like, okay, set the time aside, go drive to the trails, go run. It's like 10 to 15 minutes away. First, we do have a park over here, and I'll run in the grass and things like that. But I think I have to do loops there. So I think it's definitely a difference and a different feel. And I'm sure others could attest to this, that going out on an actual trail for however long is, it's a definitely different feel than, being even in a local park, things like that. Anywho, so I'm going to go give that a go and see how just, I tried starting at the smaller end of runs, like doing a mile, and then ramping up in that, we saw where that kind of got me. And I mean, I think there was definitely that hip hop class with my sister that kind of overworked a ankle tendon or ligament there. Anywho, and then I just kind of just quickly did this before recording this, but then, okay, let's do a bike. Let's actually do a yoga session. And I hadn't really, the bike is 20, 30 minutes, could be longer, but that was at least the minimum range that I kind of want to give myself. And same with the run, like 2 to 3 miles at first. I was like, okay, 20, 30 minutes. And I know I could be and should be probably doing this from a standpoint of run walks or walk runs where you're alternating running and walking every 5 minutes for 20 minutes and then working your way up to an hour. I'm going to approach this a little differently because it's also about me assessing, like, where is my leg actually at? My left heel, ankle, Achilles, things like that. And where does that leave me tomorrow? How am I feeling tomorrow when I go on the bike? Are those areas of my leg actually sore? Are they fine? And then working yoga. And this was more just like, okay, let's just do a number of different things. Let's run, let's bike, let's do yoga. I realized I put this together. I forgot to throw in longboarding. And I think that one I might take away from being a workout as much as just like, it needs to be a fun exercise for me, or it needs to be a fun activity that just happens to be exercise in a sense. So I'm just going to throw that one in, whenever day I feel like going out. And then also what's not here is, actually, I'm starting a new contract job. Yay, go me. Come the first. So it's also going to be time dependent on getting some of this done during lunch, and then eating at my desk, or go out and do some of these short things. Because I was doing walks. Whoever had our daughter in the afternoon, we'd go out for walks in the pram. So that was always a guaranteed, except now it's cold out again. So when it's not freezing or raining out, some guaranteed walks there. And then we could also go out for walks in the evening. So I didn't write that in, but I think I'm just going to keep that as like, okay, get those extra walks in. Great. It's going to add to just the overall conditioning going forward. And I still kind of kept the general, 3 days, rest day, 3 days on doing something. And then that fourth day. So first day rest, 3 days on. Fifth day would then be cross training / resistance training. In this case, since I'm already doing other cross training activities compared to running, I'm going to just treat it as a resistance training and then pile on more physical therapy. That's the other thing I've also written in here. Is just like, okay, keep up the PT, keep up the ankle mobility, because that's always something I would get lazy with in years past. It's like, okay, yay, I saw the podiatrist or the leg specialist, did the exercises for a few weeks, and then fell off that bandwagon. But I think it's something that I'm now realizing, like, okay, I really do need to be on top of this, need to keep it up, keep doing it. And I definitely feel some differences there where, like, I'll go do the calf raises on a step, and it's like, ooh, yeah, that kind of does, it feels, it almost like you feel the realignment happening in the first one or two. And maybe that's just me, but it's just all the more reassuring that, like, yeah, this is working. This should be doing this. Let's keep doing this. And then what would typically be my long run on Wednesdays, and then a follow-up medium run on Thursdays, or once I got into the higher mileage, more closer distance, longer miles. Anyways, I'm just going to see how am I feeling come Wednesday. Should I try an easy run? If not, so instead of coming up with 2 weeks worth of a training plan here, I'm going to go week by week and even almost day by day once I get to these later days, just to really assess, like, where am I at? How am I feeling? Does it make sense? So instead of just saying, well, I've got it written in as a run, I'm going to go for this run. No, let's think through this and assess, does it make sense to go run? Okay, yeah, I'm feeling good. Okay, I'm going to go try another 2, maybe 3 miles. Or no, maybe do a yoga session, do a bike. And that's why I threw the bike at the end of the week. So that's it for what will bring me through this week 9, and then going into week 10. So we'll see how it goes. I'll stop sharing for right now. Anywho, let me know how you've been liking these, and any other questions, thoughts, comments. Leave those below and I'll get back to you with a response. If not, and you want it's something more personal, more spot on, something more to yourself, again, shoot me an email below or head over to our site. Again, links, all that fun stuff will be below and you can reach me there. So till next time, happy running. And yeah, we'll catch you next week.